Let's talk about a classic battle that pretty much happens every day in the modern workplace. It's the spreadsheet versus that little voice in your head. Data versus your gut feel.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're looking at a dashboard. Everything's glowing green. All the numbers are pointing up. But something deep down, based on years of experience, just feels off. It's a huge dilemma, and figuring it out is exactly what we're going to dive into today.
So let's make this real. Imagine you're Karan, a chief sales officer. Your company has poured a ton of money into data and analytics, and right now on paper, you look like a hero. Your big premium soap brand, sales are up a solid 7%. Everything is looking fantastic.
But see, Karan's been doing this for almost 20 years. He's not just sitting behind a desk, he's out there talking to the people who actually sell the stuff. And the stories he's hearing from the ground floor, well, they don't match those pretty charts. He has this nagging feeling that the whole thing is way more fragile than the numbers suggest. And this is where the conflict starts. He brings up his concerns in a meeting, and this is the response he gets. The CFO, who is absolutely just trying to do the right thing, points back to the numbers. I mean, in a company that prides itself on being data-driven, Karan's feeling just sounds like a flimsy story, an anecdote.
So, this begs the question. How did we get to this point? Why is this clash between hard data and deep-seated experience so common in just about every organization?
Well, there's been this massive cultural shift. If you rewind the clock to the 90s, big decisions were made based on a leader's experience, their feel for the market. Now fast forward to today, and it's all about real-time dashboards and predictive analytics. The pendulum is swung all the way to the other side. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. Staying at either extreme is dangerous. Sure, intuition alone can be biased, and it's really hard to scale. But, and this is the part we often forget, relying only on data has its own pitfalls. Data, by its very nature, is a perfect picture of the past. It's backward-looking. And sometimes it just measures what's easy to count, not what actually matters, giving us this false sense of confidence.
Okay, so let's get back to Karan's story. The data said one thing, his gut was screaming another. What happened next wasn't just a surprise, it was a wake-up call for the entire company.
And then, bam, just 2 months after that tense meeting, a competitor drops a bombshell. They launched this fresh, aggressive marketing campaign that just completely captures everyone's attention.
Now, before this happened, this is what the market looked like. Karan's brand had a really healthy lead. Everything looked calm, stable, exactly what the dashboards were showing.
And just look at this. This is the aftermath. Almost overnight, their market share starts to tank, while the competitors just takes off like a rocket. That fragility Karan had sensed, it was real, and now everyone could see it. Karan's reflection on this is so powerful. He said he sensed the vulnerability, but he couldn't point to a chart to prove it. He didn't feel he had the permission or maybe even the confidence in himself to really push back against that data-driven consensus. And that was the moment they all knew something fundamental had to change. So that crisis, it sparked a totally new conversation. How do we stop this tug of war between data and judgment? How can we actually integrate them to make us stronger? How do we build what you might call analytical judgment? The big aha moment was realizing they're not enemies, they're partners. They're just different tools for different jobs. Data is incredible for measuring what already happened and rigorously testing your ideas. But judgment, well, that's how you sense what's coming next. It's how you pick up on those little signals and understand the nuance that numbers can't capture. So from this, they developed this really smart, practical framework. They stopped asking, should we trust the data or our gut, and started asking a much better question. What kind of decision is this? Is the market stable and predictable? Awesome, let the data take the lead. Is it a totally new situation nobody's seen before? Okay, then you lean on experience judgment first, and then you find ways to test it. This gave everyone a language to talk about these tough calls.
Now, a framework is one thing on a slide, right? But what does it actually look like when you put it to work? Let's see how Karan's team used this exact idea to turn that struggling brand completely around.
This is so cool. When they went to reposition the brand, they didn't just pick one source of truth. They took the hard data from their consumer research, what customers said they wanted, and blended it with the on-the-ground judgment of the sales team, who knew what people actually did when they were standing in a busy store. And this led to a strategy that was just smarter. The messaging was both complex, like the data suggested, and super simple at the shelf, like the sales team knew it had to be. For pricing, they found a smart compromise right in the middle. And, this is key, they didn't bet the whole farm. They launched it as a small experiment so they could learn and adapt on the fly.
And the result? It was a huge success. The brand didn't just recover, it started growing faster than ever before. It was definitive proof that when you combine data and judgment, you don't just get a weak compromise. You get a stronger, more resilient strategy.
So, this whole story leaves us with this really powerful metaphor to think about. Data is your rearview mirror. It gives you a crystal clear picture of the road you've already traveled. But judgment is your headlights, lighting up the dark, uncertain road ahead. The true art of making great decisions isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about knowing when to check the mirror and when to lean forward and trust your headlights. So the question to leave you with is, in your world, which one do you need to start using a little more often?